Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I am delighted today to be joined by Rob. How are you?
Hello. Yeah, very well. Thank you very much. What about yourself, sir?
I'm very good. Yeah, thank you for joining me. I've kind of connected with you before, but it's the first time we're properly meeting, so it's nice to finally meet and catch up a bit.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you, I think is the term that a lot of people are using at the moment. Yeah.
That's a very business-sounding word, which I think is appropriate for what you do. So maybe you could tell people a bit about what you do, where you're from, that kind of stuff, if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, I'm Rob, and I'm the host of the Business English podcast. We are a UK-based podcast that specialises in teaching, I would say, non-native English professionals, but we do have a couple of natives as well tuning in to listen to some of the phrases and techniques that we teach, and just helping people communicate in a business environment, really.
Nice. Fantastic. Yeah, and I think you've been going for a couple of years now, is it?
Yeah, a couple of years. We started 2022. About 3 years now, knocking on the door, about 3 years. Not as long as yourself, though, I believe. You're older on the podcast scene, right?
I guess so. I still feel young because I'm comparing myself to other people who've been doing it for like 10 years or 15 years or something crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I started just before COVID. You started just after, right? So
that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Good timing.
Needed to find something to do, during that time. So, maybe a podcast would be a good idea to develop the brand.
So apart from podcasting at the moment, do you have other things that you're doing with your work and your teaching? Like what else keeps you busy?
Yeah, it's a great question. So obviously we're in the digital space and podcasting serves the audio element of that quite well. But as we know, there are many different types of learners out there. So some are audio, some are visual, some are kinesthetic, I believe, touchy-feely. And the podcast angle was to develop the audio. So we're also running courses as well on YouTube and my platform where we have visual aids and exercises as well. So this does take up a lot of the time. Also doing one-to-one or one-to-many group sessions as well, doing the coaching sessions.
Cool. What kind of size do you have in your group classes normally? Because I do them too, so I'm curious.
Yeah. I do one-on-one. I do one with like business partners, so 2 people in a room. I've done I think about above 6 to 7. It starts to get a bit noisy in the room, and then I've also done conferences as well, where there's like 150 people in the room asking very difficult questions. So you really got to dance on your feet there.
Yeah, I think it was a couple of weeks ago I saw a picture of you, maybe on your website, like talking in front of a conference or class or something. And I don't know, maybe I'm a bit unusual, but I've never had really classroom experience. I've always been online when it comes to teaching.
Right.
How did you get the confidence to do that? Did you build up to it, or do you have any tips with that area?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. The confidence thing, I think knowing the subject definitely helps. So if you're some SME subject matter experts, or even if you have more knowledge than the audience, I feel that you can be confident enough to stand up and at least pass down or pass back some information to the audience. The idea of standing, I think it's fascinating that you say about you don't have any classroom experience, because the natural way of your communication, I think, well, this guy's obviously been in a classroom, he's done his conferences, he's done, get keynote speaker experience. Do you have any ideas to develop in this direction, potentially doing conference?
Not really, to be honest. A big motivation for me to do this online was just because I love the freedom. For both sides, I'm sure you're familiar with this, where I can be in the UK or Thailand or wherever doing it. My students can be anywhere in the world; they don't have to travel to where I am. So I really enjoy that aspect. The only thing I've had in the back of my head for many years, which I don't know if I'm ever going to have the the energy to actually do this, but I'd love to do some kind of like English learning experience combined with like a tour guide. So say I'm living in London and like there's some kind of event where people come to London, I show them around, and it's kind of like teaching English, but also showing them a bit of the UK and the culture. And I love that idea, because I would do it in another country. It's just a big thing to organize,
I think this is what most of us have thought about. We flirted with this idea slightly of, having clients flying into London Heathrow, and we pick them up in a British Land Rover and we take them out to the Dales or Dartmoor, and we show them around the cottages. I think that'd be amazing, actually.
Yeah. I mean, just such a big thing. Like, I don't know where I would even start to plan it. And I mean, step one would be moving back to the UK. That's one hurdle.
Well, that's out of the question, if you're currently located overseas, aren't you? So, out of the question at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, how about, I'm curious what led you to this point. So if the listeners haven't caught on already, because your podcast kind of centers around business English, I thought it could be fun to talk about jobs and work. I think it's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
So yeah, what led you to where you are now? Like, how did you get into what you're doing today, and previous jobs maybe as well?
So essentially, I come from a systems and processes background, and I did about 10, 12 years. And during this time, I was consistently exposed to different languages and cultures. And part of my job previously was to understand different cultures and how we could optimize the UK's role, or certain businesses or functions within the UK, how we could integrate that into other countries or other businesses and other processes run by different cultures. And I thought, this is actually quite interesting. It's quite enjoyable. And a couple of the people I used to work with before now said, Rob, you should probably consider going into something like this because you have a knack for it. And so I thought, well, I'm going to start my own business that deals with professional integration of language and culture. And it's really brought me to where I am today, running this online business. So, yeah.
Cool. That's very cool. I like that expression too, by the way, knack for something. Like you're skilled at something, right? You have a knack.
Yeah. Have a knack for something. So, cool. Culture, I just find it fascinating. I mean, like you're living overseas, you're immersed in this foreignness, this foreign culture. And it's really, I think it's the pinnacle of sort of experience where you can really immerse yourself in something that is completely alien to you, if I can use that word. And you have to spend time understanding it and trying to integrate with it rather than just bouncing across the surface.
Yeah, and of course, the longer you're in a place, in a different culture, the more deeply you can go into it and experience it. And yeah, I mean, I love it. Like, I've been here for 2 years, and I still every day am kind of like, wow, this is so cool. I never get used to it fully.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, I think we're similar in that way.
Definitely. And to have the humility, and this is something that I run into quite a lot with my clients because everything's very serious in business sometimes, is to have the humility to laugh at yourself. And I think the Brits are good at this. There are other cultures that aren't so good at laughing at their own sort of faux pas, if you will. But, culturally making a faux pas, as long as it's not too offensive, you can, oh God, I'm such an idiot. I just said this thing. Okay, I'm going to have to apologize and work out. But normally it seems that the other culture is very accepting because you're trying. Yes. You've used an incorrect phrase or an incorrect word. And I always remember being in a pharmacy in South America, Colombia, and in Spain, they say a certain word to say, can you just grab me? Can you get me this bottle of water, for example? And I used this phrase, and if there are any Spanish speakers in your audience, they may know which word I'm talking about. But in Spain, it's widely used, get me the bottle of water, please. And I used the same phrase in South America, and the pharmacist told me in no uncertain terms, we don't say that here, sir. Very embarrassed. So yes, culture, very, very interesting. Languages too.
I mean, at least you learnt from that experience. I guess you're not going to make that mistake again, but
absolutely not.
Yeah, that's funny.
What about yourself? Sorry, go.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to ask, yourself being in a different culture or traveling a lot. 24 months, that's a long time to be exposed to this other culture. Do you find yourself synthesizing quite well, integrating well with the culture?
Yeah, I mean, this is what came to mind when you were talking. I feel like it being away from your home culture.
Yeah.
I don't know how long you've been away in one time before, but being away for a long time helps you see the differences and the strange parts of your own culture even more.
Yeah.
Like that distance helps you see it more. So yeah, as you said before, like a good word for what you were describing was self-deprecating.
Self-deprecating, yes.
Talking badly about yourself. And I think, yeah, as you said, British people are very self-deprecating,
Yeah.
which I didn't really realize until I came here, and I see that, yeah, people here are just not that way. So I might say like, "Oh, I'm so stupid," or like,
Yeah.
"I'm not really serious. It's just a comment, just
Yes.
to lighten the mood, I guess."
Yeah.
And people might take me seriously, like, "What? No, you're not."
Yeah.
Like,
No, you're not.
don't say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of like integrating, I feel there's a lot of similarities between Thai and British culture. Also differences, but
Yeah.
I do think there is a sense of I don't know, like there is some level of politeness. It's not quite the same style of politeness, but there is something, and I find myself adapting to the Thai way a bit more.
Yeah.
Physically, that could be just like rather than waving to say thank you, I might bow my head to say thank you, like little things like that. And when I go back to the UK, I'll keep that habit as well for a while without realizing.
Yeah. I think that's really important. These physical cues as well, to properly understand that this would mean much more than just waving your hand. I was working with a client not too long ago, and we were doing the phrase. Well, we were only talking about it because it had come up in a business discussion of his, and he says about "with all due respect," and I said, who said this? And they said, well, we're working with a client, and they said, "with all due respect." My client that I was working with was very happy with this because they were showing respect. I said, well, actually, culturally, when somebody says "with all due respect," what follows is actually going to be something rather prickly. So it was just that sort of cultural nuance where the guy spoke really good English and his proficiency was very high. It's that cultural understanding that actually the words aren't exactly displaying the true intent, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, that's such a great example. It's like the meaning of that phrase is perfect, but yeah, when you hear it, you're expecting like "I disagree" or some kind of negative comment to come afterwards.
Yes.
So I guess that highlights the importance of learning things in context and not just like reading a list and using it without understanding the implications.
Yeah,
I guess business English, there's a lot of that, isn't there? Because there's so much indirectness and politeness. So.
Yeah, definitely. I would say that more than half the people come into business English having been in general English for a while. They learned it at school. They have some exposure. They watch TV, YouTube, podcasts, hopefully your podcast. And this idea of, well, I understand what words are being used in the vocabulary, in the constructions, but when they're assembled in a different order and put in a certain context, as you know, idioms, phrasal verbs, they can cause real challenges, especially when the pressure is on in high stakes situations, presentations, meetings. So yes, context, very important.
Yeah, you've got your work cut out for you then. Lots to cover.
Work cut out for you. Perfect example. What a phrase. Yes.
Yeah, he's like, what, cutting? Why are you cutting work? What does that mean?
What's happening?
Yeah. You've got exactly. A lot of work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So again, speaking of work, actually, I don't know if you skipped this part because you don't have an answer, or maybe maybe I'll ask again. Like, do you have? Sure. How many jobs have you had in the past? Have you had like many different jobs, or have you just had like one or two careers in the past? Like, what does that look like for you?
It was all in the same space, really. Systems and processes, culture, language. But if you're talking about what I wanted to be when I was a small boy, like a dream job, When I first started my as a teenager, I think we all watched Top Gun, or at least were aware of Top Gun, and I quite fancied being a pilot, and so I wanted to be a pilot, and I started the process. And then there was, I don't know if you remember, it ran in the UK for quite a while. It was an advert for Search and Rescue or the RAF or something like this. And there was the pilot and there was the navigator. And everybody wants to be the pilot, not the guy that's reading the map. And something like, I don't want to misquote it, but basically the navigator accuses the pilot in a jokey way. He says, "You're just a glorified taxi driver." And I thought, oh, that's an interesting sort of frame. And then I thought about it. If you are a pilot, I mean, absolutely amazing job, by the way. But know thyself. I thought, could I sit in, a small cockpit for long periods of time, again and again and again and again? And I'm not sure I would be best suited for that. And what about yourself? I mean, do you have any sort of similar ideas?
In terms of dream jobs, I mean, I try my best every day to be working towards a dream job, and I guess that's one of the nice things about working for yourself. We can talk more about that later, maybe. Is
yes,
you have a lot more control over the direction you go in terms of your job and your daily work. But yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I've said this before, I did want to be a baker because I love the smell of bread. That was my first one.
Oh my God, yes. Yeah.
And then I realized that it was just a bit, I don't know, it's just not suitable. I wanted to be something more realistic maybe. So then my next goal was astronaut.
That is much more realistic, by the way. Yeah,
of course.
That's great. I like that. Brilliant.
And then I realized how smart you need to be. Yeah. And I thought, I can't do that. So that kind of disappeared. And I've had many dream jobs throughout my life. It's always changed every 5 years or so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think these days it's just any job that allows me to have some control. I don't like being told what to do too much.
Oh yeah.
And I think also maybe you can relate to this. There's an element of feeling rewarded, like you're helping people, you're doing something good. I think many of us can find even a little bit of that in our jobs, which gives it some meaning, doesn't it? Yeah.
You dropped on something quite important for me as a principle, and I think for many of us in our line of work is this independence, this fierce independence of you run your own business or business owner, content creator, whatever it is, and it's really a red line on that side of, well, nobody can tell me what to do, or I have complete autonomy of the decisions that I'm making. And for many, certainly through my experience talking to others in this space, that's almost reason number one every time, that you can control your own environment. So yeah, I think, and obviously I'm biased, you're probably biased as well, this is about as close to a dream job as you can get, because you're the architect of your own ecosystem. That sounds fancy, but it's a really interesting position to be in.
Yeah, no, it really is, and yeah, I think it's important to recognize how lucky that is in many ways. Yeah, I mean, I guess you've had both experiences of working for yourself and working for others.
Yes.
So, is there anything that you miss about working and having a boss and being told what to do?
Well, that's a great line to follow, because I think it's a paradox. Of course, having all the response, everything being your problem, can sometimes be a little bit of a grind on a Sunday night, and you just want to go to sleep or whatever it is. But everything being your problem can on a bad day be pretty uncomfortable. However, that said, I think it's the very same thing of everything's your problem that actually makes you become better and develop yourself. I don't think there's any better test than entrepreneurship or being your own boss, because you can't hide anywhere. You can't hide within that corporate structure. Not there's anything wrong with that. I know people that go into the gladiatorial arena every day in offices around the world. I mean, that's who we're for. But on the flip side of that, if you are a content creator or you're a solopreneur, then it is just you versus you every day.
Yeah, it's so interesting. And yeah, I guess I'm sure we both agree that it's not saying there's one that's better than the other. It's just everyone's different, and we have to kind of try our best to find work that suits who we are, I believe.
Yeah.
As much as we can. It's not always that easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting thing that you can kind of hide in an office environment. And I think what appeals to me, like sometimes I think back to previous jobs I've had where I'd finish at 5:00, and then because I didn't really have to do any decision making, it was just go to work, be told what to do, come home.
Mm-hmm.
Then I could totally switch off. Like after 5, no more thinking about work, just relax. And there was like total work-life separation.
Yeah.
And nowadays it's much more integrated. Like I can have a day off physically, but I might be still thinking about it or worried about something. And there's all these things I'm juggling.
Yeah.
How do you cope with that kind of stuff? I presume it's the same for you.
The organization piece. I mean, systems, processes. I mean, I really focus on this. It's an automation. I mean, don't get me started on automation because I don't want to send your audience to sleep. But I like automation as well. Things that happen, in the background. Because from a solopreneur or from a small business perspective, I think this is a real superpower, especially with the advent of AI. Episode 321, if you've not listened to it on Michael's podcast, go and listen to it. It's awesome. But this idea of having things automated in the background and organized, getting it set up is difficult. But once it's in and working, I really feel that it's a superpower for small businesses and solopreneurs now.
I love this topic. I think we're the same here, where there might be like a little bit of investment initially, like to get things set up, and then from then on, it's going to be much easier and more time efficient. Like, what could be an example? Just like kind of these like life hacks, but business hacks, where you might. I mean, there's various websites where you can set up automations to do things for you. Like rather than sending an email to every student, you can just automate it, and when they sign up, they get an email. Or do you this is a weird one, but I love this. Do you ever do text replacements on your devices, where you can like type in a shortcut and it has like a sentence that comes out?
A short. Oh, so the system knows what that text means and it pulls in the longer. I'm not using. I'm aware of it though, and how fast it can accelerate your process. That's brilliant. Are you using that quite a lot?
I have so many. It's really good. I find for like URLs. Like I type in a lot of like websites a lot.
Got it.
Or like people ask the same questions, so I need like the right links. So I just type in like 2 letters or 3 letters on my keyboard, and it comes up with the whole thing.
Oh, that's great.
I have lots of emojis as well. So like if I want an arrow, I just type in arrow emoji and it comes up.
Right.
I love that kind of stuff.
Speed. Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, what do they say? Money loves speed. This expression, money loves speed. And I think automation is really helpful. I was told a long time ago, it's like, could your granddad have done what you do now? I was like, granddad, he's a great guy, but I'm not sure. Like, buy a radio station, and produce something at this scale. It was impossible for our grandparents to do. So as we carry on down this journey, leveraging that automation and organization skills, these infill characters that you're using, I think this technology allows us to do much, much more with much less. I don't know what your thoughts are on that. I know it's a bit of a dog leg, but
yeah. I mean, it definitely does. I mean, there's always that thing about things becoming more efficient, and yet we're not reducing our working time in many cases because we're filling the same 8 hours or whatever every day with just more work because it's more efficient, and it's like we're competing with each other to get more work done. how do you find that in terms of like taking time for yourself and resetting at the end of the day? Are you good at that, or what do you
Oh
think?
yeah, this is a contentious issue. I think my family would have something to say about this. My time is during exercise. I enjoy going out for a run in the morning, and I find that as a really good, just as the sun's come, not in the dark. I think that'd be quite depressing. But running just as the sun's coming up, I quite like that because it's early. I think it helps me focus. It just flushes everything through. And I feel much better prepared for the day once I'm sat down. It's a sedentary job, you're staring at a screen for quite a long time every day. So to exercise, in answer to your question, that's my sort of thing in balance. But working a lot, yeah. Yourself?
I think similar. Yeah, I mean, running is a good one, which I've got into recently. And whenever I do run in the morning, I feel amazing for the rest of the day. It's
Yeah.
the difference is, it's like night and day. It's really clear. But yeah, I do. I'd be interested to see if you do something similar. But I do set very strict rules with myself in terms of when I stop working.
Ah,
So usually I'd say today's an exception because of our time zone difference.
sure,
But usually about 40 minutes ago,
right. I
about
do
about
apologise.
no problem. I'm happy to talk with you. Usually about 5 p.m. It's like my hard cutoff. Like, don't open any email, like nothing after that time. Same goes for Saturday. Normally, just have one day
Great.
with not a single like work thing to do.
Great.
And yeah, it makes a huge difference. I've noticed in my mental health and ability to sleep and that kind of stuff.
Definitely having those breaks. Yeah, the structured routine where you know you're going to have some white space at the end of the day that you can just, I don't know, decompose into if you've had a bit of a rough day. But this idea of when I'm going through like hard project cycles, I do find that I break this rule. There was a phrase given a long time ago, which I don't think is helpful for burnouts, which is work to standard, not to time. Work until the job's done, not until it's end of the day, which I don't think is good. I think it could be considered quite old fashioned, this idea. But sometimes when you need to push the envelope, the phrase, I think it's required sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I do make rare exceptions. Like last
Yeah.
week, I had one day where I did work all day, just because it was an important day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think occasionally, I guess you have to be honest with yourself and not,
That's right.
not let it slip into every day. But yeah, I'm sure there are several people, many people I don't know who
Yeah.
are maybe they're working a job where they're an employee and they might be interested in something different, working for themselves, or
Yeah.
they're dabbling in it,
Yes.
trying it a little bit. What advice would you give them? It could be good or bad, like a warning or advice to get started.
I think optimistic advice, which would be, or realistic, should I say, which is know thyself. I think you have again, just smashing your podcast. You have an episode on rose tinted glasses.
Yeah.
Not to see this idea, because I don't think entrepreneurship or solopreneurship, running your own business, it's not for everybody. And so know thyself before even making, setting foot on the path before starting. But certainly, if you have some skill set or some value to add to anybody in the world, then there's definitely a place in the market. So yeah, 100%.
That's a good point. I like that. Again, it's quite an optimistic sounding
Yeah,
point of view, like just adding value to people, and
yeah.
that's I guess where a lot of good businesses come from. Do you have any like downsides then? Like, what would you say is one of the worst parts of working for yourself that we haven't already mentioned?
Again, a fascinating question. I would say, and it's not something that a lot of people talk about. Everyone talks about the money and the apps you can use and the YouTube growth, but the head game, and what I mean by that is this: every day you get up, it's you versus you. And I think and I don't know what your experience is in this regard, and I'd love to hear your thoughts about on the good days and the bad days, you still have to perform because you can't. It's just you that has to go through the motion. So, what do you think about this you versus you? It's you in the arena.
That's interesting. I haven't really thought about it too much. I guess I focus a lot on like healthy routines, like morning routines and stuff like that. So I try my best to always have a good day. I know everyone does, right?
Yeah,
but I feel like I've got good routines that allow me to be in the best frame of mind as much as I can.
Great.
But yeah, I guess, again, I think I'm very lucky. Like, I can occasionally afford to do less on some days where I know not everyone has that privilege, but some days I'm just feeling horrible, like I didn't sleep well last night and I'm just not in a good mood, and I might still try to do some work, but I just say to myself, like, okay, it's not your day. Forcing yourself to work is just going to make you feel worse and give you, the quality of the work that the work is going to be worse as well.
Yeah.
So I try to give myself some leeway and just say, like, okay, maybe tomorrow is going to be a better day.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not exactly what you asked, but that's one thing I try to do.
No, I think that's really helpful. Having those frameworks in place that exist even on the worst days, so to speak, and they help support you and get you through that. But I think that's the solution to what I said about it's you versus you. Well, just have better frameworks in place. I think that's a great example. It's a really good example.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess even if you don't have much control, like you can't just stop working because your boss would fire you. I guess you could still have that mindset of like, well, I'm gonna work today, but I'm gonna not be too harsh on myself. I'm not gonna hold such a high standard because I feel so horrible today. And we all have bad days, so I think that mindset is a good lesson anyway, right?
Yeah. No. Absolutely. Strong frameworks. I like that.
Do you have any strong frameworks for yourself?
One rule that I quite like is to work in or sequence in all imaginative or creative tasks at the start of the day, because I just feel my brain works better. And then if there's any sort of systems tasks or spreadsheets or dog's body work, for want of a better word, I would do that later on in the day. I just feel that that's the balance that I seem to function well with. Thoughts?
Yeah. Again, it's like going back to what you said about knowing yourself. Like, I guess you're a morning person.
Yes.
So you're more switched on in the morning, and that's when you can do the important work. I've heard people say both things. Like, I've heard one method is do like little things in the morning when you first start work, so you can get little wins and it motivates you to get to the next big ones. But
that's true. People do say that, don't they? They say get some quick wins on the board, low hanging fruit, all these other buzzwords. Get those on the board. But we have the master, Brian Tracy, wrote the book on Eat That Frog. I don't know if you're aware of it.
I don't know the author, but I know that phrase, yeah.
Yeah, but eat the frog, the big, ugly, horrible task first thing. So you have these like contrasting ideas. So again, know thyself, what's going to work for you. The other one is, which I think is quite humorous, is the early bird catches the worm. So meaning that, I don't know, like if you're an early riser, you're going to get the goods. Yeah. But on the flip side, which is slightly more macabre, it has to be said, is it's the second mouse that gets the cheese. So,
I don't know if I've heard that before.
Oh, right, okay. But the second mouse gets the cheese. So I'm not quite sure these two pieces of advice, but definitely contrasting.
That's interesting. I mean, I guess there's a lot of examples of that in business where you might have one company that invents something new, like some like VR goggles or something, and then it doesn't catch on. And then the second company will kind of steal the idea and do it better, and they get the cheese.
100%. I mean, great example. MySpace. I had a MySpace. You probably did as well. A MySpace account. It's like, who are they now? And Facebook came in afterwards, and there we go.
Yeah.
So this is second mouse gets the cheese. You heard it here first, people. Yes.
I feel like there's just an expression for every different point of view. You could just twist it in different ways for your meaning.
Yeah. Brilliant.
But, it's funny. This happens every single episode I do, where I have a question in mind and it just slips from my head. Like, it just happened again. It's always once per episode.
Yeah.
It's becoming kind of a habit now. So I guess it's going to keep happening.
I have Post-its everywhere, so it's like Post-its. That's something I could systemize. Definitely less Post-it. It's like Bruce Almighty. Have you seen that scene where everything is covered in Post-its?
No.
Oh, you got to Google it. Yeah. So
is that your room basically?
Yeah, basically just covered in Post-its. So I need to I'm a big Notion user. I'm not sponsored by them. It's not a plug, but I use the Notion toolkit quite a lot. So I should probably put them all in there.
Yeah. I guess it depends, again, knowing yourself, if you're a digital person or a paper person. For me, it comes at the expense of my eyes and my health, but I'm a big digital person, so I don't have any paper or pens. I hate it.
Right.
I just so convenient having everything on a device that fits in your pocket sometimes. But yeah, I guess that there are pros and cons, right?
What is just as an aside here, sidebar, as they say, this idea of digital first in your business ecosystem, how does that integrate with your clients and, the people that you assist and support? Are they predominantly digital first too, or do you make exceptions?
You mean in terms of like classes and that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Always digital. Yeah. I mean, these days I only teach like a group class every week.
Sure.
I don't have I'm not currently doing private classes. When I first started teaching, when I was living in the UK, there was one student who found me online.
Right.
And she happened to live in the same city as me. So she was like, "Can I do it in person?" And we did that. It was a bit awkward because she came to my flat.
Sure.
And I just felt a bit too personal, like it wasn't a professional environment.
Sure.
But that was one time I made that kind of exception.
Yeah.
But I just feel way more comfortable just doing things online.
Yes.
I guess because of your conferencing and presenting experience, maybe you're quite outgoing and confident. But for me, in person, I'm quite shy and awkward. So I'm much more comfortable looking at a screen.
I can't see that at all. A hybrid approach, definitely, because I think that's where humans are now. We're hopefully 50-50 between digital and physical experiences, especially within business environments, networking, shaking hands, these sorts of body posture. Over 90% of communication is non-verbal. This sort of idea. So yeah, okay. Just wanted to ask. I thought quite an interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean, it's also an interesting point about. I wonder how much we're losing with things becoming more digital. I heard before that. There are many things that we do online that are just not natural. Like we haven't. Yes. Biologically we're not used to it. So for example, it's quite, it's not super rare, but it's not that common that like two people will be having a conversation and will be like directly facing each other.
Well, that's true.
It can seem quite confrontational or even aggressive. So like very often when you're talking with a person in real life, you might be, even though your head is pointing to them, you might be slightly angled away.
That's
or something
great.
Like that.
That's a really good observation.
I heard it. It wasn't my observation, but
you should claim it. That's a great statement. Yeah. Nobody stands square on, having this, unless you're arguing. Maybe this is quite confrontational.
Yeah.
I've not thought about that.
So maybe you have a look when next time you go into a public place, and it's quite interesting how common it is. And I guess being on like camera, like we are, like both facing. Yeah. I wonder if it is. I'm not able to really notice, but maybe we might feel a little bit more awkward because it's not natural or something like that.
Yeah. I find you said you do group sessions online once a week. contrasting that with being in person as well, I always find, and they do say that the camera does sap some of your energy. So even though you feel like you're overperforming and being 110%, when you watch it back, you look like you're really lethargic and asleep. So that's another interesting dynamic to consider, is that you don't mess them up. You don't sort of act normal on camera and look like a zombie and then be full of sugar and caffeine when you're in the physical space. So yeah, good.
Yeah, podcasting is another situation too, where I'm trying to stay in the frame and not move my body too much. Yet I want to kind of move around a lot more and maybe pace backwards and forwards because I've got the energy from the conversation. So it's another kind of unnatural part of recording a conversation too.
I'm with you on that one. Yeah, I gesticulate a lot, and to have to sit on, not doing it at gunpoint, but yes, willfully being on camera and having to sit still, it is, as you say, fairly unnatural.
Yeah, I guess maybe there's no reason why we couldn't stand up and do it, but I don't know, it just doesn't feel right to me.
Some do, don't they? I've worked with a number of people in the past that have standing desks and they're moving around and it's all dynamic at their end, and I'm just sat there being interviewed, rigid. Yes.
Yeah, rigid. Where do you see? This is a kind of interview question, right? Where do you see yourself in the future? Like, what's your plan for the work you're doing, and where do you want it to go? Do you have a plan?
Great. Business English, I don't think is going anywhere. With the advent of AI, yes, okay, there are going to be efficiencies that do enter into the space, as with any industry. I feel that humans will still want to interact with humans because it's a human thing. So that's not going to go anywhere. And if there is something that optimizes that communication, like Business English, then I still feel that will have still a very strong place in the market. So in answer to the question, I feel that the brand and the podcast will continue to move forward and provide those boutique services to businesses that need them. What about yourself? I mean, do you see yourself fitting into this wider ecosystem?
Can you explain what you mean by that a bit more?
Yeah, sure. This idea of where your business in the next sort of 6, 12, 18 months, do you see yourself niching down into certain areas, geographies, demographics?
Yeah, I'm really bad at like niching specifically. I feel like once I do that, I'm going to like alienate everyone and it's not going to go well. Like I like to keep things very open. So I think in some paradoxical way, that's kind of a niche in itself. Like I have an English podcast that covers like lots of random topics. Like we don't just stick to one area. And I think a lot of people quite like that actually. Like, this week we might be talking about business and jobs, and then next week it might be about space travel, and kind of we all link it back to English. So I imagine I'll keep going with that theme because it's never ending. First of all, I'm not going to run out of topics, but also it's just fun for me.
It is, yeah.
I don't really have a plan.
I think it's a fantastic thing. This spectrum of astronauts or AI or roasted, like all this. It makes it a really interesting archive and library that you can chew through. And to be honest, in this space of language learning, you need as much exposure to the breadth of vocabulary, a wide range of vocabulary as possible. Yeah,
yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, and I guess we could all incorporate that in some way in whatever we're doing. Why do you think, maybe if people are unsure about business English, or maybe they just think, oh, it sounds boring, business, or something like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Just to explain, like that was my first connotation of the word business because of my 100%. Business studies class at school. That's what I think of when I hear business. Yeah. But maybe I don't want to offend you.
No. I like 100% get it. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, maybe you could explain why business English is good to learn, and maybe why some people hearing us now might want to know more.
Yes. Well, I always make this joke. Allow me to make the joke. You shouldn't listen to my podcast if you're driving or operating heavy machinery, just in case you fall asleep. It's not like that at all. But yes, business has this idea of being a little bit drier. And I think it is in some cases because it has such a niche application, presentations, interviews, networking. I like to categorize it as high performance English. So if you're in high pressure scenarios, the sort of English that business English encapsulates can stand up to a bit of pressure. So that's the first thing. It allows you to network globally. I think it can open opportunities for your career, definitely, and checks notes, gives you confidence in high stakes situations. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. See, I imagine it can be applicable to many different people. You don't have to be like running a business to learn business English. And a lot of I've seen some of the episodes you do, your YouTube videos too, and like a lot of them are phrases that we use in daily life as well. It's not just only for business. So I think a lot of them are really good to learn. And yeah, I mean, just to give you a compliment, because you were self-deprecating before, your podcast is very good and you speak very clearly, just like the listeners can maybe hear now. So I think it's a good resource for people to follow as well.
Appreciate it, sir. Following in your footsteps, stood on the shoulders of giants, I think is what they say.
You're very complimentary. Thank you. Well, maybe this is a good stopping place. I don't know if you have anything more you want to add, or if not, maybe you could share a bit more about, or once again, where people can find you and your podcast.
Well, I'd like to just end by saying thanks ever so much for giving me the opportunity to come on the podcast. I've had a lot of fun discussing various nuanced ideas on the podcast today. So thanks ever so much for the opportunity. I've really, really enjoyed it. If you want to find the Business English Podcast, it's right there on the internet, thebusinessenglishpodcast.com. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts.
Fantastic. I will link everything up so it's easy to find in the show notes. But yeah, I guess we can leave it there. We will be talking again on your podcast, on your platform, right? So maybe people can listen to that one.
Yes.
I think maybe we can give a preview that we're going to be talking about politely saying no.
Absolutely.
In English and
yes.
maybe British English.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, definitely. It will be a good one.
A lot of pressure now.
Yeah, no pressure. Great.
Well, thank you so much, Rob. It's been so good to chat.
Thanks, Michael. Really, really good. Thanks.
You have been listening to the Level Up English podcast. If you would like to leave a question to be answered on a future episode, then please go to levelupenglish.school/podcast. That's levelupenglish.school/podcast. And I'll answer your question on a future episode. Thanks for listening.